All right, we are back at it. Fall break is over. The 1101 half of the term is over, right, which surprised all of us, not the least of whom me. That October 5th closing date. I apologize for that conclusion. I don't have any control over that. That's all. How the course begins and ends is all set up behind the scenes with the tech folks who are responsible for Blackboard's functionality. It's always been my experience that these high school classes, in conjunction with the college, are done in quarters, 8-week quarters, and they usually follow immediately one after the other. In other words, the 1101 half typically, in my experience, would have ended on the 13th, like Sunday, and then the 1102 half would have picked up the next day. It's always been. This is my fourth semester working with working with Sonoraville in this capacity, and it's always been like that. It's never been a Saturday closing, a whole week of inactivity, and then the resumption with the 1102 half. So I apologize for any confusion that might have caused. It's not ideal for me either. It meant that you all had to turn in your 1101 research essays via email, so I will begin to turn those around to you this week, and you will receive them back in an email. Okay, as you emailed me an attachment, it'll be turned back to you like that. You'll see the rubric headings, content structure, style and language, and format. But it'll just be the headings and your score. And I'll make marginal comments in your documents as well. I will add the blog bonus points that are owed to each of those if you did participate in the blog in 1101. So I'll probably add the bonus points after I actually read and evaluate the essay and give it its score, and then I'll go back and see how many blogs you participated in, and then I'll award so many bonus points based on each time you participated to your essay. So 1101 stuff is going to be turned around this week, but for 1102 literature, that is what we're moving on towards. This whole term, we're going to be reading and writing about literature in terms of the short story, poems, and drama. Our final MLA research essay in this half of the term is going to be on Sophocles, ancient Greek dramatist, his Oedipus Rex, or Oedipus the King. Okay? So if you don't know much about Oedipus, or perhaps you've read your Freud and might know what an Oedipal complex is, maybe do some digging around, some quick Google searches on these things, because this play Oedipus has one of those cornerstone plays, works of literature of one of the touchstones of Western civilization. So there's a lot to dig in there. We'll get there at the end. We also have 2 literary analysis essays in this class. So we're not going to have, like we did in 1101, a narrative, a descriptive, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We're going to be reading, doing discussion boards. In fact, you have a discussion board this week. It's in week 1. You also have your journal, your 4th journal, that asks you to reflect on MLA as a style guide. Okay. Referring back to the MLA research essay in 1101, we've had a journal after every mode of discourse we've done. So to be consistent, in our 1102 course shell, in journals, you'll see your 4th journal there. Okay, so you do have to do that for this week, along with the discussion forum on the 3 short stories that I have assigned for us. Okay. While I'm on the subject of the 3 short stories, they are in this book. This is our course text. Okay, you guys should have been furnished with these, provided with these. It is Portable Literature, Kirshner and Mandel, Reading, Reacting, Writing, 9th edition. includes the 2016 MLA update. So this is our course text, okay? In that, for this first week, we have a short story by Ernest Hemingway, Hills Like White Elephants, my wife's favorite Hemingway short story. One that when I first read it, I was a little befuddled, confused. It was hard for me to know exactly what the man and woman in the story were talking about, because there's a lot of suggestion and implication in the story. The man and woman don't outright say what they are truly talking about. Once you discover what they are truly talking about, you might be a little shocked or surprised, or something. A reaction will have been elicited. I am quite confident. So you are going to read that, and then we have two short stories, as they're called. One by Sandra Cisneros, Pilon, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, and then by Dave Eggers, The Accident. These are very short stories, like just over a page each. Okay, and the Hemingway story is rather brief as well. So while you have 3 stories to read, and that might sound daunting, they're all very brief, okay? And there's a discussion forum on all 3 of those stories. It's in week 1. I have a question about the Hemingway story, and then kind of a comprehensive question about the 2 short stories, okay? Classic form rules apply. You contribute a post. You have to contribute to at least one other classmate's post to receive full credit. I am going to be active in this forum this week. I'll try to go beginning, middle, and end of the week to kind of engage with you all and have the conversation as you guys are having it. So, just to recap, our 4th journal, due this week. And then the discussion forum on the 3 short stories assigned in this book. By the way, you can look at your syllabus. There is a syllabus for 1102 in Blackboard, in our Blackboard shells, okay? Earlier I mentioned we have a final paper in here on Sophocles' Oedipus Rex, and then 2 literary analysis essays. The first one is going to be on Edgar Allan Poe's The Cask of Amontillado, okay? Very October, Halloween-y kind of story, in that it's Hemingway, or not Hemingway, Edgar Allan Poe, okay? The master of the macabre. He is the American author most associated with the disturbing, the grotesque, the macabre, the monstrous. So the Cask of Amontillado, perhaps you've read that before. It's quite a shocking, frightening story. Imagine meeting your end in the way that this unfortunate gentleman meets his end, encased in a wall. That is going to be our first literary analysis story. That's in a few weeks. We have a second literary analysis essay that is on a Shakespearean sonnet, Sonnet 29. So an essay on a piece of fiction, a short story, an essay on poetry, and then finally on the example of drama. Look at that syllabus. You'll notice that the percentages of how the different categories, grading categories, are weighted, it's shifted. Your class and homework is worth more this term, like significantly more. I think I had it at 15% in 1101. It's now jumped up to 35% in 1102. Your final essay is 30, I believe, off the top of my head here, so that's 65. And then the other 35, the first literary analysis essay is 15%, the second literary analysis essay is 20%. So yeah, I think that all checks out to 100%. So here's why the class and homework is weighted more significantly this term, because you all tend to do better on class and homework submissions. Typically, if you're trying and you are doing what is asked of you, you guys typically get A's. By and large, okay? Sometimes it's a little less than that, maybe a B or a C, or maybe you didn't do it at all. But I would say, by and large, A's. So my thinking there is, let's turn up the worth on that category, and this should all be working to the effect of helping you guys do your best in this half, okay? So that's why class homework is 35%, because you guys tend to do well with that. So why not have something you typically do well on reflect a more significant portion of your grade? All right, so I think that is it for this week. We are transitioning to 1102. If you still have that SLO for 1101, the Fox and the Hedgehog, you are welcome to email that to me. If you don't know what I'm talking about, email me and let me know. Some of you have, some of you had already turned it in the 1101 Blackboard course, but I will accept, due to all the confusion with the class closing much earlier than anticipated, I will accept emails, attachments of your SLO, Student Learning Outcome Assignment, the Fox and the Hedgehog. Okay? So, that is what we got this week. Welcome to the second half of the term. I look forward to it. It's going to be fun. Check you later.